If you love people, if you love hearing their stories, I think you're gonna be perfect for the hospitality industry. It's about empathy, giving empathy, but you will get empathy in return.
Hi everyone, it's Joe. You're listening to Occupational Hazards, a series of candid conversations with some of the most inspiring people I know as they share their path to finding their calling and all the gritty realities of their jobs. Whether you want to demystify your dream job or are someone like me who enjoys getting a peek into other people's work lives, then this is the podcast for you. Our guest today personifies the philosophy, work hard, play hard. He plays in the worlds of accounting, IT, tourism, fashion, outdoor sports, and makes it all look super fun. Nino Indrawan is a hospitality entrepreneur. He founded Bhumi Hostel, an ecotourism boutique hostel in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, that highlights the best of Indonesian culture with a focus on community and sustainability. Within 3 years of opening, the hostel received a TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence and is consistently ranked among the top 5 homestays in Yogyakarta. Nino also founded Sahari, a clothing line that showcases hand-woven textiles and natural batik dyes, produced with passion and pride by Indonesian artisans. Aside from his work in the lifestyle and culture industries, Nino has built a corporate career, working in operations improvement and efficiency for companies such as Accenture, the Dow Chemical Company, and HP. He holds IT certifications, specifically ITIL, or the IT Infrastructure Library, and is a certified chartered accountant. He currently serves as managing director of DRB Food Solutions, a corporate enterprise. A massive outdoor sports and travel enthusiast, Nino is a certified diver and an avid surfer. He has also appeared as a contestant on a reality TV show, Indonesia's version of The Amazing Race. Mr. Work-Life Balance himself. Here's Nino. Hi, Nino.
Hi, Joe.
How are
I think
you?
the introduction is so much cooler than I am.
He's also the most humble.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, Nino, before we dive into your, super colorful career, can you tell us where are you in your pandemic arc?
Right now I'm already in acceptance. I think. I mean, I do everything normally. Wear my mask everywhere I go. It's like breathing, and well, I mean, life has to move on, and we have to move. We have to live with the pandemic.
That's a
Well,
very,
you know.
yeah, that's a healthy outlook. Good for mental sanity. So, I gave a quick overview of what you do, but maybe in your own words, can you describe what you see your profession as?
I think some people would say that I'm a little bit of everything. I also think I'm a little bit of everything. I think I do whatever that I want without hesitation. Anything that interests me, I think I'm drawn into new adventure, new experience. I'm always big on that. Going to places that people never heard of.
Sure.
Well, try to break any barriers really. Like people, well, I am an accountant by profession, but I also love adventure. I love hiking. I love surfing. I also love art. So it's just a mix of a little bit of everything.
I guess to make it more specific, what would a typical day for you, if there is one, what would that
Oh,
look
wow.
like?
A typical day, I would wake up really early at 6. Most days, I would usually swim in the morning, really, really early. Actually, I would wake up at 5:30. I would go swimming, and then get to the office at around 7. Then work, 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 work. Work for me at DRB is pretty much fun because we're in food solutions, so we try out new recipes, we try out new ingredients, we get samples from our customers. So sometimes we get, let's say, cakes or newest beverage fat that people never heard of. So we get a sneak peek on that.
Yeah. So you're managing director of DRB
Yeah.
Food Solutions. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what the company does.
It's a family company that's been around for 20 plus years. So we started off as a distributor of egg powder. I don't know if you've never heard of it. Egg powder is basically eggs, but in powder form. So it's like,
love eggs.
well, you've seen milk in powder form, right? So
Yes.
imagine that as egg.
Okay.
So spray dried eggs. So it started from that, and now we branch out to non-dairy creamer. That's what we also like very big of. And then other food ingredients like matcha, salted egg, like something that you're more familiar with, things that people usually see in everyday life. So we supply big manufacturers, biscuits.
Okay.
So most biscuits that are produced in Indonesia usually have our egg powder in them. The fun thing is we actually see our products or the products of our food ingredients in the Philippines. You can find them.
Oh, I need to start looking more carefully at the ingredients of the product I'm buying.
Yeah. It's really humbling. It's really something.
Yeah. I read the company I am familiar with in the Philippines. There's one that's super under the radar. I'm not going to name them here because it's not an ad, but they supply apparently like 90% of the powdered ingredients for food. So including salted egg flavoring. So I was just thinking of all the there was a salted egg craze that took off a few years ago, and they were like supplying all of the salted egg powder that went in all the food we consume. So it's really interesting to think about the parts of the supply chain we don't see, and before the
nobody knows us.
Well, it may change after this podcast. People will start,
Fingers crossed there'll be more orders of egg powder.
How do you balance that? Because you're managing director, you say you kind of, I take that to mean you're being humble, but I take that to mean you're kind of in charge of running the whole operation.
Yeah.
Right? And holding down the fort. How do you balance that with also your boutique hostel? Because you founded and you also kind of help run the hostel, right?
Yeah. Well, before the pandemic, when the hostel is still running, I have a manager and some good people over there that run the place for me. So I do weekly meeting with them just to make sure that everything is in place and everything goes according to our standards. So that was before. Right now, during the pandemic, of course, being more on the safer side, we decided to just close down for renovation. So we are actually renovating. So Bhumi Hostel is currently renovating, and then we're gonna come up with new concept once this is all over. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to go back to why we started Boomi and how we see it now with everything that's happening all around us and what people are gonna appreciate when everything is over. What do they look for when they travel? So we try to cater towards that kind of need right now. That's why we're renovating the whole place, introducing new concept, and it's gonna be more wholesome and it's gonna be very exciting.
Was it not wholesome before? No, I'm teasing.
I think. Well, I try to grow the brand. I try to mature the brand.
Sure.
As
family friendly.
With more family friendly, more catered towards me. I mean, back then I was in my late 20s. Right now I'm in my mid 30s. So I'm trying to cater towards people around my age. Well, it centers around the work-life balance because the reason why we renovate, apart from the pandemic, is to create an escape for people who wanna, because the place is actually pretty small, but we try to separate it into 3 different sections. So it's going to be a coffee shop, a small eatery in front. There's going to be the main hostel, and then we also have a small CrossFit gym. I kind of say CrossFit because it's trademarked, but strength and conditioning gym at the back. So it's going to combine those 3, and then you can still do yoga because we built a small courtyard with terracotta, so it's going to be really nice. It's going to be surrounded by trees. So if I think I'll cater towards more of my clientele would be like people from Jakarta who are sick of the city and they just want to escape for a weekend. So that's built towards those kind of needs.
Okay, time out. I know what you're thinking. wakes up every day at 6 a.m. to swim, and runs a gym. Seriously, this guy is my inspiration. But you know what? They say abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. If you're one of our listeners in Manila, we have a treat for you. Fit Food has been helping thousands of people start healthy lifestyles for the past 8 years. They believe that to make healthy eating sustainable, it has to be delicious. Mission accomplished. Their team of chefs, culinary consultants, and licensed nutritionists have put together amazing meal plans that they can deliver straight to your doorstep. They have calorie-counted balanced meals, low sugar, low carb, high protein, high fiber options. They got keto, they got heart-friendly meals, and they got vegan meals. They've also launched Fit Food Grocer, which sells freshly cooked, ready-to-eat healthy options that you can leave in your fridge and conveniently prepare anytime. I am personally a huge fan of Fit Food Grocer's cauliflower crust pizza, their cauli rice, which is the only rice that I want to eat, and their mushroom sisig, which tastes like heaven. Eating healthy has never been this yummy and this convenient. Fit Food Manila is giving the first 30 occupational hazards listeners to avail of this promo 20% off your next online purchase. All you guys got to do is go to www.fitfoodmanila.com and key in FitFoodOH. That's Fit Food O as in occupational, H as in hazards. FitFoodOH, all caps, one word, at checkout to get 20% off your next order of food. Remember, this is only for the first 30 listeners to sign up, so get on it. For listeners in the US, the UK, and all the other places that have been listening, we're going to try to get more treats for you guys in your countries. And now, back to Nino, with a story of how he founded Boomi. Sure. Do you think you could maybe tell the story of how you decided to open the hostel in Yogyakarta? Because you could have, I mean, you know, I know you were looking at Bali, you were looking at all these other places. There was a bit of a journey to get there, right?
It's a bit of a journey. Anyways, I always believe that when it's meant to be, then everything's gonna be very easy. But also I'm a very persistent person. But it started off when I was still working in Shanghai. So luckily, I was already working flexible hours. So flexible hours, and then I did not have to go to the office every day. So I could choose wherever I work. So I decided, I think I learned everything that I could in my previous company. So I decided, I think it's about time before I turn 30, I really want to open something that I really love or where I could pour my heart and soul into. So my dad, actually it's an idea from my dad. Okay, why not, try hostel because it's pretty easy. People love traveling and you meet a lot of people. So it's a good way for you to meet people because you always work from home and you never go to the office, you don't see people. So I thought, okay, maybe that would be fun. Okay, so we decided to just fly all the way to Bali because, everybody knows Bali. It's pretty easy. Everybody loves it. So we decided to pick Ubud as a place to start our search, we're scouting location because we heard there's this little bit rundown resort that's been kind of abandoned by the owner. So they're looking for a partner to operate that place. So we decided to go there, spend 6 months doing due diligence. But at the end, it was a bit too much for us as a startup because it would cost us, I don't know, more than 500,000 USD just to renovate because it's a big place. It's about 2 to 5 hectare by the river. So it's kind of dangerous in a way. The foundation's not as solid.
The soil erosion too.
Everything might crumble down anytime. Sure. So it's kind of dangerous. Well, and then we decided it's just a little bit too much for us. Then, we flew back to Jakarta kind of with our broken spirit. Then we heard, why not Yogyakarta? Because this is my partner saying that she knows someone there. It could be a start. Never know. Then we flew to Yogyakarta. Long story short, we couldn't find anything. We went to several houses. We went to look for antique abandoned houses, but we couldn't find anything that suited us, or we found one but got rejected. flew back to Jakarta. Then all of a sudden, well, there's a tragedy in my friend's family. Then they decided to just abandon this house because they wanted to move to the village, like a village, countryside. So this house is empty, and he asked us. That's a day after we flew back. He called us and asked, "Hey, are you interested in using this house to start your business?" And we were like, we didn't know where it was, but sort of know the area because it's one of my favorite places in Jogja. Then we saw the place on Google Earth back then, I think. It's either Google Earth or Google Map.
Sure.
Can't remember. And then we thought, oh, it's surrounded by trees. I think it's perfect. It has a garden and whatnot. So we decided, okay, yeah, we just said yes. And then we flew back the morning after. So everything is impulsive. Everything's done in a hurry. And then a year after that, Boomi was born.
Okay, but it sounds like it was meant to be, like you were saying.
Yeah, and we went searching for almost a year plus. Then all of a sudden, this was pretty easy. We did everything in like a day. Then everything's done. We start renovating the day after.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. And, I was scared because, of course, like in the middle of the project, we basically burning all this money for renovation. And then we're like, are we serious? Are we doing this? In the middle of all that, like, are we still doing this? Like, this is not us. We don't have any experience. But then I was like, try working, try experimenting, break whatever you think that you cannot do. Try to push your boundaries and see where it can get you. So I think that's what we did. We tried with Airbnb at first, and then we opened up to all of the usual booking.com, Agoda, TripAdvisor finally. Thinking back, it's it's been amazingly. There's a lot of ups and downs for sure.
Sure. So speaking of the ups and downs, maybe you can tell us first about the ups, and then we'll move to maybe the downs of running a hostel. Because to be honest, when I tell people, I know somebody who's running a boutique hostel in Yogyakarta, everyone gets stars in their eyes, and they're like, "Wow, it must be like living. You get to live in paradise and make that your job. That sounds amazing." So maybe you could bring us back to reality. Tell us like the ups, definitely, but be honest about the lows.
Well, I'll tell you first about the lows. The lowest of low. The lowest of low is when you have to wake up in the morning and then you meet annoying guests who are like, sometimes they're racist, honestly. Sometimes they're racist and they're like, oh, you speak English really well. Or, well, that's, I'm sure they meant it as a compliment, but it's like, oh, I don't know, they said it condescendingly for some reason. It's hard to say it here, but when you're there, you know that they're being very condescending. And then what else? I met people who are rude, who are always want refund, who try to cheat us, who try not to pay, who yell. Oh, actually, a group of guests yelled at me once because of their fault. Actually, they booked the wrong room, and then we tried to explain to them, and they were yelling at me. Well, they didn't know that I was the owner, so I never said that I'm the owner of the hostel. I always said that I'm one of the staff. So yeah, I think those are the lowest of low, when you get yelled at and you're already tired, because hospitality is all about service. And then when you're doing service, you're in the service industry, you pour your heart out trying to please people, because making them smile, making them satisfied is your goal, right? That's the lowest of low, when you're really tired and then people are yelling at you at the end of the day. But the highs of highs is when you meet people who click, meet people basically you have the same chemistry. You meet them and then they feel like you're a long lost friend. Then you hang out with them, you have adventures with them, go hiking or whatever, do something crazy, or Even seeing your guests who were strangers at first and then they become good friends, and when they go back to Europe they still keep in contact and they send us their picture, I think that's really something. You know that you made a difference in someone's life.
When you were about to launch the hostel, I remember that you said that you really wanted people to feel an immersion in kind of the true culture of the place.
Well, Yogyakarta is pretty unique because it's also a sultanate, so it's a sultanate within a country, if that ever makes sense. So it's a
Yes.
special region in Indonesia where we still have a sultan, and the sultan is the governor.
I remember you said you were looking into farming so you could grow like local crops, would feed the community in the area, and you were looking to revive like shadow puppets and batik dyeing and immerse your guests in that experience. So I thought that that was really interesting because you're really allowing them to get a sense of kind of it's like a cultural exchange in a way, because you know they
Yeah,
meet you and they share their experiences with you, but they're also kind of soaking up what the environment has to offer.
I think when we set it up, we really want people to experience something that had never been. So we try really pushing the boundaries. It's either, well, the adventure part is pretty easy, right? Because you can go hiking, you can go surfing, you can go kayaking, whitewater rafting, things like that. That's pretty easy. We can arrange that. But we also, like, apart from that, what was it, like 7 years ago? 7 years ago, I feel that, oh, you know what, as 20 something, I really want to learn new skill when I travel. And I really want to see how, when I say the locals, I don't mean like in a bad way, but I want to see how other culture, I think that's a better way to put it. I want to see how other culture, what's unique about an other culture and what skill I could gain from them. So I thought, okay, batik is interesting. So we have a batik class at our place where you learn how to do batik in a proper way, not like, just shortcut everything. And then also, like, we take our guests to see shadow puppet because I think that's a dying art. And it's something that's really beautiful. It's something that's been around since the 15th century, even before that. And it's back then when we didn't have television. That's what people would watch at night. Usually they last until the morning. I think there's something mystical, and then there's something beautiful about that, about seeing shadows moving around, telling a story. Well, I want people to immerse themselves in new culture from whatever they see, whatever that they learn, and whatever they eat or whatever that they smell. So we try to take people around. On their first day, we usually offer them a tour of our neighborhood because we're situated in Kota Gede. Kota Gede means a great town, a great city in Indonesia. Because this neighborhood used to be the capital city of the Sultanate a long, long time ago. So I just wanted them to be immersed in the 15th century charm of our neighborhood.
Yeah, well, that sounds beautiful. And all of this, but you actually majored in accounting in college. Did you ever think that when you took up accounting, you would eventually be, reviving the art of shadow puppets in your boutique hostel?
No, never, never. I thought I was gonna be a CFO, but I'm in close enough. Managing director is close enough.
Yeah, and you have to
But yeah,
balance the
I
budget,
think I never thought. Yeah, well, it works when I set up a company, but it did not help when, I was handling guests. It's a lot of fun. I think when you try to break from whatever people think you are, I think that's the fun bit of it, because it's very unexpected.
Take us back to your origin story. What did you want to be when you were little? Because we know how it ended up, or we know where you are right now. But what did you want to do back when you were, say, I don't know, 9 years old?
I always loved drawing stuff. I always loved painting. So, and then my dad is a big collector. I've always wanted to be in the art industry, but I think hospitality is close enough. I mean, accounting is not, but being in hospitality is getting closer to that side, to the right brain sort of thing.
Sure. How did you choose accounting of all of the, for many people who are maybe just about to choose where they're going to go for college? I think there's this mentality that in some countries, especially I think I don't know what it is like in Indonesia, but in places like the Philippines, sometimes there's this notion that the course you choose will like determine the
The rest of
entire,
your life.
the course of the rest of your life. So you're actually a really good example that, you can do many different things. How did you choose accounting?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I always ask this and I always give different answer. I feel that because both of my parents used to run companies, and my dad is big in sales and R&D. My mom is more into, oh, my mom is good in budgeting. So I thought, oh, it would be interesting if we have someone who could bring these companies together, merge them or lead them, but dealing with more financial stuff, reading the books, doing the taxes. Even though I thought, oh yeah, that's pretty boring and nobody wants to do that. But I'm also really good at math, and I think numbers speak to me in a weird way.
So you look at them and you see
I,
art. The same way you look at paintings, you look at numbers,
yeah, I see.
financial statements, and you see like,
It's in a geeky way. I really love math.
yeah, okay.
I really, really love math. So I think, yeah, numbers are my friends. So that's why I thought, oh, accounting is perfect. If I had to go to business school, I think I would take accounting. So there I went.
You're so lucky. Most people are one or the other, right? Left or right brain. No, it's beautiful that you're able to merge both halves of the brain.
Yeah, I think if you knew back when you were a kid or growing up that you could do all sorts of things, I think you wanna, for me, I wanted to do something that I wasn't really strong, or I see that there's not a lot of people doing it. That's what I really want to do. It's kind of a challenge for me. So I think that's why I studied accounting as well. Maybe that's why I started a hostel when nobody thought, oh, you know what, why would you open a business and it's a hostel while you can do like startups or whatever?
If you could go back in time, knowing now what you do, would you do things the same way education wise, or would you choose to study something completely different?
I think I would have done the same because understanding accounting opened so many doors for me. Like for the art, it's something that I could do, it's something that I could appreciate. But if I didn't learn accounting, I don't know how to value a painting. I don't know how to probably, if I want to like run a gallery or create a sustainable business, like that requires a lot of calculation and planning. So I'm so happy that I actually took accounting back in college.
Sure. As you look back on your career, because you've done a lot of work on the corporate side before you went all in and pursued your entrepreneurial venture, right? Would you do anything
Yeah.
differently about the jobs that you took, or maybe how long you stayed in certain companies?
Yeah, I think I stayed longer at Hewlett Packard. I spent 7 years there, but I don't think I would change anything different because every experience, I don't know, it sounds really, really cliche, but every experience actually taught me something. And then I'm still using it until now, amazingly.
No, I can see that. The funny thing I was thinking of when you were talking about how you started the hostel was you were doing work from home before it was cool. So our joke was always you're
Yeah.
a hipster. I mean, a hipster's now not a thing, but
So
like ahead of the curve.
imagine doing, yeah. Imagine before all of this happened, I already worked from home 7 years ago. This is what I learned. So when I started Boomi, I really wanted to create something that's like that. I really want to travel, but I still can manage. So we actually set up Google Sheets, Google Docs back in the day when it was still new. And then we want to be technologically savvy. So we set up our website, we set up digital payment when it wasn't even cool. And this is a small hostel with only 5 rooms, with like, I don't know, maximum guest is like 26. So though, my experience with HP actually took me there to set up all these systems. And then when I joined this company, DRB, I set up the same thing even before the pandemic, so that it's perfect when it hits that we're ready to work from home. We're ready with everything that we have. Now we're supported by Microsoft, so we can do so much with the tools that they have. So I'm so lucky that I learned all those things along the way.
Yeah. Do you think that post, I don't know, I want to say post-pandemic, but I guess a few years from now when maybe international travel can reopen, like realistically,
Yeah.
right? Do you think that there will be this rise in what they call, I guess, digital nomadism, where if people are going to be working from home anyway, if I live in, I don't know, in the Netherlands, why don't I just move to Yogyakarta and work from home from a hostel, a few weeks, and then I can work from home at a different place and kind of travel as I work. Do you think that will rebound in the
Yeah.
future?
Honestly saying, when I designed Boomi, that's already in my mind 7 years ago before the pandemic, because I was doing that. So most of the IT people are doing that. And back then it was like either you're in IT or you're a graphic designer. So you can do all this freelancing. You can take freelancing gigs wherever you go. Right now it's just, I think the career choices and the technology are being accelerated so much during the pandemic that it's like we fast forward about 5 years into the future where everything could be done anywhere. So I think it's really possible that after this is done, people will start working from anywhere, and then they would do more work-life balance kind of thing. Yeah, I really see that in the future, in the near future. In fact, I think about we could see that in the late this year, or it's even happening right now.
Sure.
And then it's going to be a boom in 2022, 2023 when everything is better.
Yeah. Aside from you guys having to renovate the hostel, no, how has the pandemic kind of affected the way you think about your work and your career plans or choices?
Well, for Boomi, for example, the easiest way, because we're renovating, right? What we think about in the future is people prefer to stay longer. People prefer their own private spaces. Because back in the day, hostel is like you share everything. You share your living space, you share your bathroom. But I see that post-pandemic, people want to have their own space. They want to interact outside, but inside their rooms, they just want to be alone. So that's what I see in the future. And then people will have bigger personal space. So that's what we put into our design, that we limit the number of people interacting in one place.
Okay.
As in work in general, are we talking about the food solution and strategy?
Up to you. You don't have, I mean, whatever you can disclose. I don't want you to give away the secrets of the egg powder trade. So.
We see people are simplifying their processes. We see a lot of that. I think right now it's all about innovation. I think that's the key word. You're innovating, you're adapting fast, and then you have to maintain your costs as well. Because I know there's a lot of people, there's a lot of companies have to close down because they can't meet their margins. So I think it's all about those aspects.
If you had to mentor somebody who wanted to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you give them? Or what's been the best advice that somebody gave you that you would like to pass on to them?
Take chances. Like me. I took a lot of crazy chances. Life is never going to be according to your plan, so why not have fun with it? Do whatever you feel that you want to do. I mean, who would thought that I would be on TV, right?
Well, it was a natural kind of brand extension, if you think about it, Mr.
Like, why? You're an accountant and you take your work seriously. Why would you be on TV running around carrying a backpack?
to represent
Climbing mountains.
to
Why?
represent the outdoorsy accountants. You know, I remember when we were, I digress a bit, but this is funny. When we were in Shanghai, there was I think there was an expat like football league or something. There was a sports fest. And I remember that Team Adidas or Team Nike, whenever they were facing off against, I think Team Ernst and Young, they would be like, guys, we gotta win because we can't lose to the accountants. And I remember hearing this and thinking like, surely there are also athletic accountants. No, it's like it's just this whole stereotype. And I remember thinking like, if Ernst and Young recruits Nino to join the team, you guys are all toast. So, I was like, I mean, they were joking, but
yeah.
good on you for breaking stereotypes, right?
Yeah, that's what we need. We need more accountants who are like that.
But going back to what you said about taking chances, how would you modify your advice for somebody who felt like they did not have, I guess maybe the privilege or the financial safety net to take a chance? Like, what would you tell somebody who still wanted to have a fulfilling career, but maybe wasn't sure if they could take as big a jump as you did?
Well, yeah, I would consider myself very lucky to have everything that I have right now. But I mean, along the way, I also faced a lot of rejection. It's not like, I went to a TV station and got myself a reality TV show. But I expanded my network so I could be on TV. I made myself marketable on my Instagram, for example, so that I could reach that goal. In a way, also be strategic and be thoughtful of what you do and make sure that every moment counts, because I don't think you waste any time learning something or doing something that you love, because you add value to your life anyways. I think those things apply to everybody universally, even though you're privileged or you're less privileged. I think that's the thing that you can do. I mean, social media right now, well, people say it's bad, but it really democratizes marketing yourself, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you can manage that, make yourself interesting, make yourself marketable, I think people would want to know you. People would want to follow you and then be inspired by whatever that you do. That's your tool.
Yeah. No, that's true. It is. Well, it's I guess debatable if it's free. It's we're paying not in money, but in like attention, and arguably
That's true.
we are the product, right? So this whole I mean, there are documentaries about this, so we don't have to get into it. But no, I agree. It has it has leveled the playing field, though, especially for those like you, maybe land broader media attention from like more traditional media like TV and all that. Has it helped the
I
hostel?
have to thank social media for that.
Has it helped the hostel? Do people
Yeah,
ever want to go to the hostel because you're the guy who was on TV?
Not that, but us being on social media, meaning the Boomi brand or any of the brands, actually help us being discovered by people.
That's great. What about what about the clothing line? Because I noticed that you model it a lot also in your Instagram or in your feed.
I take the picture, I model, I design. Basically, it's a very one-man show. Just kidding. That one is a passion project because in the past couple of years, or beginning when I moved to Jogja, I think I fell in love immediately with Indonesian cloth. I think it's really beautiful. It's really unique. I've never seen it before. I always love anything that's handcrafted. So when I know that it's hand drawn, it's hand woven, and then it's hand dyed, I was like, well, we need to preserve this. And I went to a talk that's very inspirational. It's by this anthropologist from the Netherlands who went to live somewhere in Sumatra, trying to preserve the art of dyeing and the art of hand weaving in a village that's based on a story that was written in the 16th century. And when she went there trying to study, trying to uncover some of the techniques, everybody already forgot about how they should do all these things. They couldn't even understand the language that was written on the script. So I think from that story, I was like, wow, there's a lot of things that we need to preserve, not just plants, not just heirloom seeds, but also hand dyeing techniques, weaving techniques, all those that connect us more to the rest of the world than you could ever think of. Because if we're talking about as simple as dyeing process, indigo, that was shared in Asian countries between, I don't know, like Japan, China are doing indigo. Indonesia back in the 18th century was producing indigo. So even dyeing techniques could connect us to the ancient culture. That was pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really want to preserve the story, and I really want to preserve the sentimental values of each technique and its history.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. So for those people who want to become, let's say, an entrepreneur, like you have done, because you do so many things, so I'm gonna have to focus this question a bit. Maybe let's look at let's look at the hostel venture, because I think many people dream of running their own, bed and breakfast, or a place where they can entertain guests, or even a coffee shop. There's this romantic notion associated with it.
Like a small coffee shop.
Yeah, right. So the question I have is, because I had a boss before, I tell this to all my friends, I had a boss before, during the job interviews, he would kind of scare off the applicants. He would tell them all the things that they should be prepared to face, and he made it sound terrible. And he would say, if they still want the job after I gave them all the realities, like they go in with eyes wide open, and at least their expectations are managed. And then if they still want it, even if they know the challenges they face, then they are the right person for the job. So I guess using that example, what would you tell somebody who wasn't sure if they wanted to do this or not? Like, fill in the blank, don't take this job. Like, don't run a hostel, or don't become a hospitality entrepreneur if you blank.
Okay, don't be in hospitality if you hate people. that's given, okay, because you handle with people every day.
Like doctors and blood.
Right. Like, you handle people at their worst. Not everybody's in a good mood, and then they would leave bad reviews. When you think everything is going right, and all of a sudden you have a 1-star review, that there are days like that. So have a tough skin, because you have to say sorry and thank you every time. The customer is always right, even though they're wrong. You have to be really, really humble. I think hospitality teaches you a lot about humility and patience. So if you don't have those two, I don't really recommend going to hospitality industry. And just be a people person. I know it's very generic, but if you love people, if you love hearing their stories, if you love just talking and having conversations about life, I think you're going to be perfect for the hospitality industry, because it's about empathy. If I have to summarize it in one word, hospitality is all about not selling, but giving empathy. But you will get empathy in return. You will get a beautiful thank you. You will get the most heartwarming note after a guest leaves. I think that's always very sweet. You get postcards from all over the world that would make you smile. And you would have laughter, or you would have friends all around the world. I think those are beautiful things. I don't know. I'm supposed to say bad things.
No, it shows how much you love what you do.
But yeah, I think I only have amazing stuff. I know that some days are hard, but at the end of the day, when you're tired and you're sitting in the dining room with all the lights off, and all of a sudden a guest came in and then say like, oh, it was an amazing experience that I had. Thank you so much for the recommendation. I think that would make everything goes away.
Nice. You know what? I distinctly remember when you were preparing to launch the hotel, you actually shadowed, correct me if I'm wrong, you shadowed the cleaning staff at a major hotel chain to see how their cleaning technique for the room. I remember this. You said there's one cloth and they fold it X number of ways, and each side of the cloth, so it doesn't get wasted, it's super efficient. It wipes a different part of the room, no? Or a different
Oh my gosh,
surface.
yeah.
I
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people fail to realize maybe how hands-on you need to be as an entrepreneur. So maybe could you talk about some of
Yes.
those details? Like, don't take this job if you don't like to do blank.
Don't, yeah. Hospitality is also about cleanliness because that's most important, especially during the pandemic and maybe after. And then you have to pay attention to details. You're in hospitality, you're a waiter, you're an interior designer, you're also like a cleaning service. You're everything, I think, baked into one pie. You're all sorts of things. You're also a tour guide sometimes, and then you're a food connoisseur. So you learn a lot of things that you might like. But yeah, I think if you just prefer to be alone, I think this is not the job for you.
Have you ever had to deal with maybe an unruly, not just an impolite, but an unruly guest, guests that get drunk or otherwise non-sober in many ways, and you kind of have to deal with them?
Well, thankfully, no. Thankfully, not yet. I would not say no, but not yet. But I always say to my staff that if any guest makes you uncomfortable, tell us, and then we're more than happy to refund them, even though they already paid. It's rather that I have all my staff happy and safe rather than keeping one guest. And, I would sacrifice one bad review, but as long as my staff are happy, because happiness leads to good service.
Sure. No, that's a very good message.
Yeah, if you fight for your staff, they would fight for you as well.
Yeah,
I think that's good karma.
I love it. So we're nearing the end of this. I know that you have a hard stop in a few minutes, but before I talk about what are your future plans, I wanted to go through just a little trivia, like personal trivia,
Okay.
a break from all the occupational hazards we just discussed. So I guess first of all, what inspires you?
What inspires me? I think everyone that I come across always inspires me. People's stories always inspired me.
Okay. You're an artist, but what's a work of art that you wish you had created?
Sistine Chapel? No, kidding. I love the simplicity of cubism. It's
Right.
insane. I think that's the most insane thing that's ever been created by human.
Okay. How do you eat an Oreo?
Eat it whole. I'm a very simple person. I'll just eat it whole how it's supposed to be eaten in the first place.
What achievement are you proudest of?
I'm proud of Boomi amazingly because the good thing about it is every now and then everybody says like, "Oh, you're the owner of Boomi." My friend stayed there, or I've been here. It's amazing. I think it's always made my day. I'm like little girl giggle inside.
What would you want written on your tombstone or, your epitaph?
He who had done all.
What podcasts are you listening to right now?
I'm actually not listening to anything. I'm so into news because I'm such a geek. I'm into politics and I've been following US politics for the past couple of months.
I mean, it's almost like a work of fiction in some ways, the plot twists and the turns. So I
I
don't
know,
blame
and
you.
I love House of Cards, so this is like House of Cards, but it's real.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be entertaining, but not in a scary way moving forward.
I know. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
everything's gonna be okay
yeah,
for everybody out
yeah,
there.
yeah. Because
But
I
it's
mean,
just
yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy what's happening in this world, but also the power of media, right?
Correct. Correct. Okay, so no podcasts, mostly news. What about recommended reading? Is there anything people must read right now?
Oh, this is a secret that I have to tell you that I don't actually read anything. I watch documentaries, but
Okay.
a good documentary that I would recommend is Evil Genius. I
Okay.
think that tells it's just interesting learning about how people think and how a criminal mind would operate.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds really dark, but I find it really interesting.
What about hidden talent?
Hidden talent. Oh wow, that's pretty difficult.
Nino's like, none are
Hidden talent.
hidden. They're
Oh,
all on display.
they're all on display. I actually love programming. Not a lot of people know that, but I'm actually such a geek and I love programming. I love doing everything by myself. Anything that's related to computer, I love it.
What's the last thing you coded?
My website, the Bhumi Hostel website, and it's a long time ago.
What languages did you use? I'm interested.
Uh,
I'm not trying to test whether.
HTML5, HTML5 and CSS3, I think, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Okay. Interesting. What content management system did you use? It's like people running hostels taking notes.
Oh, Squarespace is really helpful, and then everything else is you should cover everything else by social media.
Okay.
Having a YouTube helps.
Interesting. Where did you learn to code?
When I was 6, I think, when I got my first computer.
Okay. So you're
So
self-taught?
I've been coding. Yeah, I pretty
Self-taught
much
since you were
self-taught.
6.
Yeah. Honestly, I basically when I got my first computer, I tried all the commands on DOS, and then I found that wow, this is really cool. I could design a game or something, you know.
Next on your bucket list, right?
Yeah, I think yeah, if next on my bucket list, I would love to be a game developer or a film producer.
Nice. Okay. So we talked about what you are doing now, how you got there, and what you kind of studied to get there. Moving forward, what is next for you in terms of plans for both Boomi and your other ventures?
Okay, I think for Boomi, it's pretty much we're waiting for the reopening of Boomi with the new concept. I'm also learning co-op right now, building a cooperative. So it's a thing here, and it's also legal. So I want to create that kind of company that's more socialist, like more common share of welfare and more sustainable, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I really want to do next. And also I want to study because now I'm in the food industry, but I have no food background. So I think I want to take masters in food tech and human nutrition. I think that's what I'm planning. I'm also planning to be for my accounting, I'm planning to have my tax certificate. So I can be a tax consultant. I can probably in the next couple of years, I can open my own firm. And then I always wanted to study law.
Because
I think
for
that's a lot of
jobs.
things. How many? How many are the? I think I've mentioned like 20 already.
No, I was gonna say because 4 jobs is not enough, clearly. No,
Amazingly, apart from all those things, I also want to be a lawyer, but I model on the side. So how does that work?
I say go for it. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that life can be short. So, make the most of the
Right.
time you've got right
Yeah.
now.
That's why I feel
Yeah.
that people should just do whatever they want to do, If you only live once, why waste it?
We'll have to do a check-in after you finish your law degree and when you're modeling, and then we'll talk to you. We'll
Yeah.
ask you the same questions, but about a different career, like your next phase of your career.
And I'm very ambitious, so I think I want to do a lot of things. Actually, amazingly, people always say that you will not able to finish it. But hey, I got my ACCA. I have my 2 businesses, and I'm a freaking managing director. So everything is freaking possible.
For those who don't speak accounting, what is an ACCA again?
ACCA is Association of Chartered Certified Accountant, based in the UK, established in 1904.
It's the British
And
version of a CPA, no?
yes, it's one of the largest and oldest accounting network in the world.
Nice. Okay, so where can people find you online or keep track of what you're doing next?
Okay, you can find me on Travel Gila on Instagram. I also do my own YouTube sometimes, but during the pandemic, kind of take a break. I do a weekend trips, and it's on Weekend Gila on YouTube. Bhumi Hostel underscore ID for my hostel, Sahari, and then my workout space, Boomi Satu.
Beautiful. We'll link to it in the show notes.
There's a lot of things, right? A lot of things at the same time.
Okay, so any words of wisdom for people who are a bit anxious about the future right now? I think there's a lot of uncertainty, and it's actually refreshing to hear somebody who's so certain about their plans. But I mean, maybe you can give some words that comforted you when you were feeling anxious and uncertain at some point.
I think feeling anxious is very human, and when there's a lot of gray area, I always say that's where opportunities actually lie. So when there's so much uncertainty, that's where you can actually shine.
Okay.
You just have to go with it. You just have to be brave. And then, you know what? I never plan for anything. I just do it and then see where it takes me. So I know a lot of people would say that plan well and then do everything carefully, but you know what? Most of the people who are successful are risk takers. So take risk and be bold.
Okay. And on that note, thank you so much for sharing your philosophy with us. And I'm really
Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. And I'm really, really hoping that, when we can all fly again, that I will be able to experience your hospitality and all the charms of Boomi in person, because I've been following you guys online for a long time.
Well, I hope by the time you can fly, everything's already done. And then you can fully experience the Boomi hospitality.
Beautiful. So thank you and have a really good night.
Yep, you too.
Bye, Nino.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and share with a friend so that others can find the pod as well. Do check out @occupationalhazards.podcast on Instagram, where we have more updates from our guests and some listener feedback. Slide into our DMs. We'd love to hear from you. Catch you next episode.